Brian Smith to come and share his wonderful story, testimony. Like I said last Sunday, I want us to be a church that share testimony because it helps people to know that God is here. Is that right? Yeah? When we talk about what God is doing in our lives, others we say, yes, God is here. At St. Paul's, I want to hear. I want to come and hear more and see that Jesus. So we want to encourage testimonies. We want to encourage stories. So if you think you have something to share, please let me know, and then we'll give you space to share this story with us. So, Brian, over to you.
Thank you. Drink first. So here we are today, all-age worship. I think we've heard it a few times already. But what is all-age worship? It's different to different people. My talk to you today is in two parts. And the first part, and the thing I want to say, is to the children. And we have some at the back, so can you hear? Right. Now you children are a blessing to St. Paul's, each and every one of you. It's a great pleasure for me to listen when you come back from Sunday school and you talk to the congregation about the things that you have learnt there and you read it out. And we all like that. And we like what you've done today. You've joined in the service. So I want to tell you a story. And this story is a true story. And it's about a man called Charlie. Now, Charlie was a teacher. And he taught in a school in Liverpool. Some of you may know. But Charlie I don't know what he actually taught at school, what his subject was, but I do know that he could play the guitar, and he was very good. And he also had a band, and this band was like a country and western type of band, and they went all around to different places in Liverpool, pubs and clubs and all sorts of things, playing the band and playing their music. Anyway, it was a Friday afternoon, and Charlie was just gathering up his things to go home, thinking what he was going to do for the weekend. And as he got near the exit from the school, he heard somebody call his name out, and it was the headmaster. And he said, "Charlie!" And Charlie turned round. He said, "The teacher for RE on Monday can't come in." He said, "I've looked in my rota, and you've got a spare period then. Will you come and take RE in class 8? And Charlie didn't say anything. He sort of mumbled. And then he went home and he said to his wife, "You don't never guess what's happened." She said, "What's the matter then?" So he said, "The headmaster wants me to take RE on Monday morning." He said, "I don't know what to say." He said, "I don't know where they are in the class, what part of the Bible they're reading." He said, "I'm absolutely lost." Now Charlie had another talent, and he used to write songs for his band. And his wife said to him, "Well, if you don't know what to say, why don't you write the children a song?" So he sat down over the weekend and he wrote a song. And on Monday morning he went to school and he went to classroom 8. And the children were all sitting there, like you are, wondering what was going to happen. And Charlie had his guitar with him. Now this is where this gets a little bit difficult, because Charlie sung a song to the school. And Charlie played the guitar and sung. So I want to tell you what Charlie's song was. But I don't play the guitar and I don't sing, so it's got quite difficult. So I'll try and see if I can remember and say it in a sort of a prose fashion. And this song was called My Everlasting Friend. And Charlie started off and he said, everybody needs a friend sometime. No one stands alone. If you're just a child like you, or a king upon a throne, and there are no exceptions, everyone needs a friend. So I want to tell you about my friend. He's my forever friend, my leave me never friend. From darkest night to rainbow's end, he's my forever friend. And sometimes I turn away, and he is always by my side. And sometimes I walk away, and he's there with every stride. And sometimes I forget him. My halo fails to shine. And sometimes I don't need him, but he is always mine. He's my forever friend, my leave me never friend. From darkest night to rainbow's end, he's my forever friend. And then in that last verse, Charlie said, if you still don't know who I'm talking of, I want to listen. Because long ago and far away, upon a cross, my friend died for you. And if you'd like to meet him and don't know what to do, just ask my friend into your heart, and he'll be your friend too. And all the children thought that was wonderful, that Charlie had written this special song for them. And what happened after that was that Charlie decided, because they all liked it, he would include it with his band when he was going around the clubs to sing this song. And he did. And one day there was a man listening to him who was a director of a music company. And he went up to Charlie afterwards and he said to him, have you ever recorded your song? And Charlie said, no. So he said, would you like to? So he said, oh, yes, please. So Charlie recorded that song, and it changed his life because it became so popular with singing that many other famous people sang Charlie's song. And then Charlie started a career into music, and he's got quite a few CDs about now that you could listen to. And this is one of them on that CD. So what I'm saying to you is that life changes for different reasons. And Charlie's life changed because he wrote a song about Jesus to the children in his class when he wasn't an RA teacher. So that is my story to you about Charlie. Now, I want to go into part 2 of my talk, which is not particularly for the children, but it is for everybody else. And what I want to do is to give you a rundown of the things that have happened in this church this year. So if we go back to the beginning part of the year, we were told by Reverend Dozy, Reverend Dennis, Reverend Kelvin, about the way you should lead your life and how Jesus is important and you should follow his things. And we listened to those things and we felt that in this church there was something special. We were told that there were dark things outside the church, but we were a light in this church. Anyway, as the year went on, some of the dark things outside the church came into the church, and we had trouble. And there was trouble for the leaders of this church, and the actual congregation wasn't quite so aware of what's going on. But there was a sadness about, and we didn't really know what was happening. And then we gradually, by drips and drabs, we began to find out what happened. Now, I'll jump on a little bit, and I remember that not too long ago, Kathy Pugh came up to this place and she said to everybody that her and Ian are going to do the shoeboxes this year. They were doubtful as to whether they were going to do them, but they decided to do them, and that we were going to have a coffee morning on the Saturday, and there will be a collection for money towards the shoebox appeal. So that was fine. So just before the day, or the day before the coffee morning, we had a phone call at home, and it was Ian. And he said to me, are you coming on Saturday to the coffee morning? So I said, yes. Why do you ask? He said, I'm a bit concerned. He said, there doesn't seem to be much enthusiasm for the coffee morning. I've been thinking about it. So I said, well, we'll be there. If there's only the four of us, we can perhaps eat a few more cakes. So anyway, when I thought about it afterwards, I thought, well, it didn't sound all that confident on the phone. So I thought, what Wendy and I would do, we'd get to there a bit early, quarter of an hour early, and help them if necessary, and sort of cheer them up a bit. And our daughter Lindsay couldn't come to the thing because she had to go to Carisbrook or something, so she wasn't going to get a lift up. So we said, well, we'll be there. So we drove up, we parked outside the parish centre, and we walked in, and there was a lot of noise. There was a lot of noise inside the parish centre. And it was a quarter of an hour before it started. So we walked in, there were all these people in there, and they were talking to each other, and they were laughing and smiling, and I didn't know what was going on. So anyway, we sat down. All the settees were full up. People were sitting there. I sat down, I looked round, and I thought to myself, well, there's something different here. I've not been to one like this before. I've been to a lot of coffee mornings at St Paul's, but never anything like this. And I looked around at the people that were there. And I do believe, Kathy can tell me if I'm wrong, she said there were 19 people altogether. So they weren't sitting still. They all moved up and let Wendy and I sit down, thinking about our age, and we were a bit tottery. So we managed to get a seat on the settee. And I'm still looking around. All these people are talking, and they're all talking to each other, not shouting. They're all laughing, they're all smiling. I think there's something wrong here, really. Perhaps I'm in the wrong place, or perhaps Cassie's put something in the tea. So anyway, it went on, and people were talking about it. The coffee morning, and everybody was happy. And then, about 11:15, our daughter Lindsay walked in. And I thought, well, how did you get her? She said, I went to Carisbrook, but she said I walked from Carisbrook to the church because I wanted to come to the coffee morning. So we were there then, and I went home and I started thinking about it. And when I came into church the next day on the Sunday, everybody was still talking about the coffee morning. And then we had the service, and someone came, I don't know why they keep coming up to me, but someone came to me and said, oh, that was a good service, wasn't it? So I said, yes. She said to me, Daisy was on fire. She said it was wonderful, I really enjoyed it. And then I actually knew what had happened. And I took my mind back to that coffee morning on the Saturday. And Kathy said there were 19 people there, but I think she was wrong. There was 20. There was another person there, and it was the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit came to church that day to tell everybody that the messages that we were getting from our Reverend Dozie, Reverend Dennis, Reverend Kelvin in this church were the ones that were important to us. And I felt really relieved about that. And then I thought to myself, well, if that's I'm going to say that in a speech, what am I going to do at the end? I'm going to get something dynamic, tell the people what's going on. and I didn't get much, so I didn't really know what to say. So then I thought to myself, well, how was I going to start my talk to the children? I'm going to talk about Charlie. So I thought to myself, well, perhaps it would be a good thing if Charlie was to finish off our service. So I give thanks to Reverend Dozy for inviting me. Thank you for the children to be so good, and thank you else for listening to what I had to say. And I leave you with Charlie Lansbury. Thank you.